Good day. This is a small introduction on how to use Ardis. On your desktop, you will notice there's a new icon called Ardis Optimizer. You can double click Ardis Optimizer. In front of you, you will see the Ardis interface. On the left blue tree screen, you'll see there's three parts that you will mostly use. First one will say parts, and this is where you load your customer's details and the material or your cutting list for your customer. Second of all, you've got basic materials. Basic materials will be your library with all your boards that you do have in stock or will use. Second of all, you've got machines. Machines you won't use. You can keep the settings and everything as is. It's already been set up for your beam saw on the workshop floor. First of all, I'm going to show you how the user template or your board library works. And this is the library you will always use. This is the library with all your boards. You're going to load it. Once done, it's always loaded on your computer. I've already started with loading a couple of sample boards just to give you an idea how it works. I've loaded melamine white. You've got thickness of the board 16. Then you've got D. D is, if you're not sure what an option means, on any of these options you can just click in the box and right at the bottom left Ardis will give you an explanation of what it is. So D stands for grain direction. You'll see if you type in L, it will tell Ardis that the grain direction is in the length of the board. Or if you type in W, it's on the width of the board. Or if you leave the field blank, it's got no grain. For white melamine, there's no grain, so we'll leave it blank. Second of all, you've got the length of your total board, then the width of your board. Quantity you can ignore. It's if your operator can, he can always tell you you've got full sheet. How many sheets do you still have in stock? So for white melamine, you've got 4 at the bottom. You can say in there 4 boards. And if you use a board, Ardis will automatically deduct the boards from your quantity you added. It's a lot more maintenance to do, nice to have, but yeah, what we normally recommend for customers is availability. Is just to type in unlimited and it won't calculate any boards, it will just generate boards. Then we've got trim uppercut, trim right cut, trim bottom cut, trim left cut. What this basically means is to get your board square and all your cuts on your board square, what your beam saw will do is it will cut a trim cut in front, on the right, back, left to give you a perfect cut, a nice perfect cut. But this value cannot be less than 10 because your blade thickness is 3.2 millimeters and you're cutting off 10 millimeters, which give you 6.8 millimeters. The gap where your blade comes up to cut your board is bigger than the 6.8. If you make it, or is smaller than that, sorry. If you make it smaller, your offcut is going to fall into the gap where your blade needs to go up and run, and that can damage the machine and causes a clog up of offcuts in the cutting blade or saw blade gap. So always recommended to use 10 on all these fields. It's a good value to save your machine on maintenance. Then the last column that we have is book height. Book height means how many boards. If you've got continuous the same pattern to cut, Ardis can actually stack boards up to 4. If you take 64 and you divide it by 16, you get 4 boards. So you can cut or stack 4 boards on top of each other onto the machine, and the machine will cut all 4 boards. So this is what book height means. Then just example of a board that's got grain direction You'll see how I added mahogany as an example. And mahogany is grain directions on L for the length of the board. This is also very important, especially when you do draw runners, to have your grain to fade into all the cupboards on the same direction. Whereas if you don't add it in on a grain directed, it will mix and match the boards onto the board, and you won't have that grain nice effect on your open drawers. Then to add a new board, what you're going to do is you're going to type on the last one, just click on it, and you're going to say enter. Enter, 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 enter. So what this basically does, it copies all the fields. If you go to the next field, the new blank one, and you say enter, what Ardis will do is it will copy that whole line, and you can just say enter again throughout all the fields, because all your fields are mostly the same. So now you see you've got two grey stones. All you have to do now is type in your next color. Let's say the next board's color is rose, and you say enter, and you can enter again, and if you've already added a new board, we don't want another rose, so we can just say delete row. So that's how you load a new board. So it's very easy. From your current cutting optimization program that you're using, you can also copy and paste. So if you copy the color name, you can right click and you can say paste. So you can also paste from another document your colors in. So if you start with customers and their cutting plans, Ardis automatically add the new boards in, or you can sit and add each and every one in there, or as you go on with or using Ardis, you can add it in and build your library. Once you're happy with your library, you can always save, which is a good idea. To save your library, you right click on use a template and you say save a copy, and you will see your board library is called board warehouse. You can select board warehouse and you can say save. So now Ardis have saved your new library with boards. Now let's start with a customer's cutting plan. We go to template. First field that you've got is your reference. Reference, you can always add anything that you're currently using to keep track of your current customer's name or invoice number. Every customer uses a different field. For instance, we're going to use customer called Mr. Tom, and we can always say invoice number 26653 as an example. Date you can leave open, that's the date, today's date. So now we want to start with our cutting plan. So in material, you can start typing the material that you've already loaded in your library. Let's use, for example, melamine white. You can start with M-E-L-A. You can start with the word and it will give you a drop down list. Okay, it already gave it to me, and then in that list you can select your board. Let's say melamine white, yes, I want that one. Grain direction, again, there's no grain direction on white board, so we leave it open. Now this is your cutting plan, your cutting list. So the customer said he wants a 560 long board, and the width of the board needs to be 250, for example. How many the customer need of those exact sizes? You can say he wants 5. Reference, you can say again, Mr. Tom with invoice number 26653 as example. Remarks you can leave blank. That is for internal use, not really for any important use. It's just for internal use. Next, the 4 next columns, you've got length, length, width, width. This is your edging. So you've got edging on the length, on the width, and the same goes for your edging. You can type in here you want to use on the long side a 2mm white edging, and you can say enter. So now automatically on the example board you've got at the bottom, you will see it will add a line, a colored line, to show you where it's going to add the edging. You can do the same with your next field. So you've got long, wide. So on the next long, if I say again 2mm wide, and I say enter, you'll see right at the bottom it will add again a 2mm wide edging. The same goes for the wide. And then you've got your left hand side, your edging on the left. If you're finished with the white and the customer now wants melamine, not melamine, let's say mahogany. Grain direction, again very important. Is it on the length, width, or the length or the width? So let's say on the length, because it's on the length. He wants 760 long piece by 520 long, and he needs 16 pieces. Example again, or not example, customer's details. You can also copy it. Let me just show you this. So if you've got 16, I'm just backtracking one, customer wants 16. If you press enter and you click enter again, it should copy the top field again. So just press enter, you don't have to type it in every time. Press enter and it will copy the top field. Remark, as explained, is for internal office use. You can type in something there just to keep track of something, or you can keep it blank. It's not important at all. Next, you can type in, there's no library, so you have to type in this unfortunately, or you can press enter again, it will copy the top field. So if I say enter, it will copy the 2mm white, but we've got a mahogany board. Why would I do that? Or you can go and you can say it's 2mm mahogany, and then you'll see it will add the edging in there. 2mm mahogany. And now our customer wants the new board that we've just added, rose. The grain direction, let's say for instance in this example, is width, and you want 600 by 300 wide. He wants 5 pieces. We press enter to copy the top field. We can keep the remark blank, or for internal use you can use, and then we can say again 2mm rose, 2mm rose, 2mm rose, and you will see it will automatically add the rose edging on there. Now we're finished with our cutting plan. That's it for the customer. He doesn't want any more boards, and the next we're going to do is we're going to say file, save as, and then we can call this file or this cutting plan Mr. Tom INV invoice 26653, and we say save. So now it's saved, this cutting list. So if you want to go back, there was a error in or finger error with your cutting plan, you can go back, recall it, and it will bring up this exact cutting plan again. So now we've already saved our cutting plan. Next option is we're going to say optimize. Optimize, basically what Ardis does is it will take the white melamine, the mahogany board, and fit all these parts onto the board so it perfectly fits on the board with the least amount of wastage. That's what Ardis is there for, is to save you on wastage cutoffs. So we're going to click on optimize, and that's it. Ardis already optimized your parts. So what we've got is, we've got melamine. It will give you a summary of your boards, basic materials, layout. So what we've got is, on layout, if we go to white melamine, our cutting plan, you will see this is how Ardis optimized it, and this is how the beam saw will cut it. Then our mahogany, if we click on it, it will give us the exact same optimize option, and the same for the other one. If you're happy with your layouts, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to send your cutting list directly to your beam saw with the following option: link to Poloni. If you click on this option, we're still going to arrange with your IT guys to set up the option where if you click this button, it will already immediately send this cutting plan to the beam saw directly. So your operator's already got it on the beam saw. But we will let you know once this is done. But for now, Ardis will save the file in C drive, Ardis OData. So what you can do is, you can go to your flash drive, you can plug it into your computer, copy this file being saved. I will show you now. Okay, and that's it. So if you go to where it showed to you where the file is saved, C drive, Ardis OData, you will see Mr. Tom. There's 3 cutting plans, 1, 2, 3. Why is there 3? The one will be for your white melamine, second one will be for your mahogany, third one will be for your rose. So you copy all 3 your files and you send it to your flash drive. But as explained, we will set it up. So if you click on the link to Poloni button, it will immediately send the file to the beam saw. So you can just give your operator, you can go to your operator and tell him there's a new cutting plan called Tom, Mr. Tom invoice 25664, and you can immediately start cutting it. But we will let you know as soon as that is done. And that is it for Ardis. If you need anything, you can always give me a call. I'll leave my details with the office on sending me an email if you need any help. But this is the basics on how to use Ardis. It's a very useful, very easy to use program.